Okay, in this problem we have a piecewise defined function. So the demand price, if the way the demand price calculates depends on the number of units that you're calculating. So if the number of units is less than or equal to 51, I do 197 minus 0.05 Q. But if the number of units is greater than 51, I have 197 minus 0.09 Q. So that coefficient changes. So Excel has an if function. I want to show you how it works first. Let's make this quantity count by fives up to around about, yeah, that's fine, to 80. Okay, here's my first question. This is a logic question. Is the quantity less than or equal to 51? So that less than or equal to, that's either a true statement or it's false statement. And I can calculate that value. So is this cell less than or equal to, that's the syntax, 51. I get a true if it is less than 51. But as soon as the value goes over 51, I get a false. So at 51, that should still be true. At 52, it should be false. Okay. For the demand price, when it's true that the quantity is less than 51, I want to have the first formula calculate. When it's true that the quantity is greater than 51, I want the second formula to determine the price. So there's an if statement, if, and then open parentheses. And then the first thing that you put is the logical test. My test is the quantity less than or equal to 51? And then Excel will figure out whether this is true or false, just like we did here. If it's true, tell Excel what you want it to do. If it's true that the quantity is less than 51, I want it to calculate the first price, 197 minus 0.05 times get the quantity, comma, and now it moved on to the value if it's false. If my condition is false, if A2 is not less than 51, that means that it was greater than 51. So then I want it to calculate the other. 197 minus 0.09 times get the quantity. Okay, so the demand price, you see that the price is going steadily down. And it's going down by, looks like 25 cents. But then suddenly it goes down by 30 cents and then more and more. Okay, so let me graph this. I want to graph the quantity and the demand price. So this is why we call it a piecewise function. See, it has this jump in it. The math word is a discontinuity. So quantity less than 51, my price is up here on this slope, and quantity greater than 51, it jumps down to that slope. Then the revenue will be price times quantity. So in the revenue function, quantity is less than 51, then it's asking what should the formula be? And the formula should be this demand price, 197 minus 0.05 Q times quantity. But for spot B, the quantity is greater than 51, we have to change the price function to the second one. 197 minus 0.09 Q. That's price times quantity. Okay. Evaluate the demand price at 34. We should be able to do that down here. 34. It's true that it's less than 51. My price should be 195. And the revenue, 66.40. And then at 61, it's false that your quantity is less than 51. So it's going to jump down to the bottom branch to get the price and then the revenue. Graph the demand function over a domain. That's what we did here. Except, let's go ahead and put in our text box. And again, you don't have to turn in this graph. This is mostly for you and your Excel skills. Let's format the shape. When I hit enter on this text box, I'm going to pick up that stray point again. It was my last revenue that I copied in of 11,000, and that's going to totally change the axes and make all of the blue points look like they're flat. So I'm just going to delete that stray orange point.